the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour with your hosts, Joe Bond and AJ Applegarth.
Touchdown! All right. Welcome to the Fantasy Six-Pack Hour. My name is Joe Bond, founder of FantasySixPack.net. With me as always, well, I wouldn't say always, with me tonight, AJ Applegarth. What's up, man?
Not much. Busy, short week, but glad to be off for a couple of days.
Absolutely. So speaking of short week, if you all are not figuring this out by now, we are live on a Wednesday, not a Thursday. Thanksgiving will be tomorrow night. Gobble, gobble, biatches. So enjoy the day. We will be, and we will not be joining you on a podcast. So that's why we're here on Wednesday, to get you ready for week 12 of the fantasy football season. But before we jump into all of that, got to go through the business here. And we got your memberships, guys. They're still available. The last couple months here, look, playoffs are coming. You're going to have to make those tough lineup decisions, those waiver decisions, plan out your rosters. This is where you make the money, guys. You got to this point maybe by yourself. Awesome. Don't screw it up. Get here. Get in our Discord. Get access to all the rankings. Get access to all the waiver wire from Herms. If you play DFS, if you've been knocked out, jump in some DFS. Win your money back. Dave Eddy, Preston, those guys, man, they are here ready to help you win some money in DFS, and they easily will do it. Trust me. Every time I take their advice, I don't play a lot. I just don't have time to really dive into it as much as I really kind of want to. But every time I do, those guys help me win dollar bills, bro. It is awesome. So get in on that. We got betting advice as well from Mark and Mike Tomlin and Aaron. These guys do great stuff over here at Fantasy Six Pack. And you got to join the memberships to get all of that, though, for sure. And then obviously, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, leave those reviews, leave those 5 stars wherever you're watching and listening. We appreciate it, and glad you guys are here. So, without further ado, AJ, I've got a new way, by the way, to do our beer of the week. Ready?
Okay.
Yeah. Beer. Beer.
Oh, gotta turn off the loop. I forgot, but we can do it twice.
Well, I mean, that works because we're each drinking beer, so
yeah, that's fine. But so instead of the video that we usually have to play, good old StreamYard let us add audio. So I decided just to add the audio clip instead, so you can see us still here for those 3 seconds, because that's exciting. But
totally,
we can have some more fun with that later. Doing stuff like this instead. Because we used to play that one, which was hilarious.
Yes.
If nobody heard that, because I know it was really soft.
I bet my Wookie.
I think that was for like injuries.
Yeah.
Somebody just play that again? Anyway. All right. AJ, what are you drinking tonight?
All right. So I stopped at the local brewery store, beer store, whatever, and picked up the New Belgium Hop Raider IPA. It's their,
nice.
I guess, seasonal whatever. It is an 8.1%er, and that's about all that's on here. So I have no idea what to expect. I haven't opened it yet, so let's just go ahead and do that. Oh yeah.
All right.
Nice aroma.
Nah, good. Yeah.
Ooh, that's nice.
I mean, it's beer, so I'm sure you're super disappointed.
Yeah, I was really expecting vodka. Damn it.
That's funny. All right. So I just had to swap out the thing because I just realized what this said. So I bought this in the store and I was like looking it up, going like, I don't know what beer this is. I couldn't find it in Untapped. It didn't make any sense. But anyway, it's a Commonwealth Brewing beer, which I buy quite a few of. Richmond beer that gets pulled up here quite a bit. It is a double IPA with HBC 630, Idaho 7, 2-row malt, oats and wheat. I mean, it sounds like beer, right? So I didn't really think about it at first. And like, if you just saw it, and it might be really hard for you to see, but like, if you just saw the name, what would you think that says?
And I.
Right. So I'm looking up and I thought like Andol or something like that, or like Andy, right? I thought like maybe it was like a weird for Andy. And I was like, all right, sure. So I'm looking it up, can't find it. It just dawned on me that, oh, guess what? It's a basketball player.
So it is Andy Roddick.
No. What? You're an idiot. It is and one. I'm like, oh my goodness. Anyway,
that's an old moment.
Yeah.
No, it just
Get off my lawn, Basketball Jones.
Basketball. It just didn't register with me. It doesn't
like
look
you like
like
basketball.
it doesn't really look like a one. Not gonna lie.
I mean, I can get it. I was
now
gonna
I
say
now that
that
I see it, now that I
see the
know what it
banner.
is, I see it. But when you first look at it, that doesn't look like a one, guys. It looks like an I, or it looks like an L. Anyway, back to the beer because that's what people care about. It is very tasty. I do give this actually, do I? Hang on.
And 1, 2.
I'll give it a 4 out of 5. That might be. I might have had a 10%er before I started, so that might be a little generous. I had, if you guys want to know, I actually drank a stout tonight at
Look
Brew
at
Belly.
you.
I know,
Wow.
right? If you checked Discord, I do share, we have the happy hour channel, which is kind of fun.
Changes in latitudes.
Oliver Brewing Speed of Darkness Bourbon Barrel Aged. I was just like kind of curious because there used to be a Dogfish Barrel Aged.
Yes.
I think it was an IPA. I forget what it was called now, but it was phenomenal. I loved it.
That one.
And they discontinued it. And so I was like, Bourbon Barrel, that sounds familiar. Let me so I had a taste of it. I was like, ooh, I don't usually like stouts, but that's pretty good. I'm starting to learn. Apparently, I like bourbon. So this was good. I actually gave it a 4 1/4, but it was a 10%er, and it was a full like 12-ounce pour at Brew Belly tonight for their Thanksgiving special, which was $5. I was like, man, kind of wanted to go back and get another one, but at 10%, I was good. But anyway, had to drive the kids home, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, no. Anyway, this and one is pretty solid. I'll probably give it anywhere between like a 3 3/4, 3.75 and 4 on top. You can't go in between, so I'm kind of stuck with either one of those. I'll decide later, but good beer. I like it. Let's get into the show, man. Shall we?
Yeah.
So, lead off with some news that dropped today. And that is the New York Jets have officially benched Zach Wilson in favor for Mike White. Oh. As much as we were excited about Zach Wilson getting benched, fantasy managers really wanted Joe Flacco. That dude made that offense go the first few weeks, man. He really did. So, still, though, it is news that the offense really has struggled under Zach Wilson. Garrett Wilson started picking up a little speed for a while there. Really, nobody else has gotten going. Breece Hall was good, but obviously he's not there, and that won't matter. But what's your initial take on now it being Mike White over Zach Wilson?
Well, I'm going to say that there's probably no rumors about Mike White and anybody's best friend's mom or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what his personal life is like, but I'm going to assume it's not as fun as Zach Wilson's.
I mean, with a name like Mike White, you're just a player.
Exactly. I think it'll be good. I mean, you got to look at the situation and as a whole, though. You know, Wilson has Michael Carter, doesn't have Breece Hall. You know, he's been in and out for the season. I just don't know if he's really got a chance to try to come back with what he had from the end of last year. I mean, it's second overall pick.
Who's that?
Who? Oh, Wilson. Oh, wait, Wilson didn't play much last year.
No, well, no, he actually was fairly solid down the stretch last year.
Yeah.
You're kind of right there, but it was
like there was no chemistry this year with him and Elijah Moore, and that
Elijah Moore was a ghost. Like I don't know what happened there.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy.
Denzel Mims was serviceable occasionally last year,
and now he's nobody.
I feel like it's got to get better because it's just been bad. But Wilson's only got 2 losses for this team, and they're both against the Patriots. So,
I get it. In my opinion, it's a weird football move. I disagree from it. I disagree with it from a football move. Fantasy move, I think we're all happy. He was awful. You know, Zach Wilson was not startable himself. He kind of made Garrett Wilson startable. But outside of that, I mean, Michael Carter was like a desperation. Like you had to be, running on fumes for running backs or starting 2-3 flex players to start Michael Carter, which, I have in a few leagues. Yeah. But yeah, I like I said, I think a lot of us, and we talked about this on our Slack channel within just amongst ourselves at Fantasy Six Pack, where we were all really hoping for Joe Flacco. I mean, come on, we saw what was going on with his offense when Flacco was there. Wilson was really good. Moore wasn't total disaster. Conklin was amazing. The thing I kind of look at more so than anybody here is I wonder how good Michael Carter can be with Mike White there. And the reason why I say that is last year with Mike White under center, I want to say Carter had like an average of like 7.5 targets a game or 7.25 targets a game, which is crazy good. So I don't know if that's expected to, because there was no Garrett Wilson, last year. So maybe that's not to be totally expected, but maybe there's just something too that, look, really, Mike White's not that good of a quarterback. So he's just going to check it down a lot because that's what he's good at. So I think, maybe a slight boost for Michael Carter, but I don't think anything that we're going like, oh man, Michael Carter is going to be like, a league winner at this point, but he could help you for sure more than you thought he was. I think we could safely go there.
I mean, the big thing to look at here is, I guess, the game against Cincy last year where he had 405 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Did have 2 picks, but
2 picks.
Crazy
but
good game.
At that point, it really didn't matter. It's absurd. I mean, his completion percentage was 82%.
Yeah, it was that game was nuts, man. But then it came back. But then the bottom fell out, man. Like he had one touchdown, 0 interceptions the next game, and then it was the dreaded no touchdowns, 4 interceptions against the Bills. So, and then at that
it is
point,
the Bills. So.
at that point, Zach Wilson was like, you know, right after that Cincy game, we're all going like, oh, well, maybe Zach Wilson isn't the guy. Maybe it's going to be Mike White. And then he kind of went the next week, and then it was like just like fell through the ice the next week, and we were like, oh, well, maybe not. But clearly, Zach Wilson's not the answer either. And, you know, his stupid answer at the end of last game where it's like, do you think you let your team down? He's like, no, you know, we scored 3 points. Like, you scored 3 points, you jackass. Come on.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right, let's move on here. We got some stock up, stock down talk here, which kind of correlates to, you know, Zach Wilson getting the call here or getting benched here. And, you know, we're seeing, I think we all kind of agree that the Jets running backs and receivers and tight ends, their stock, I would think, has to be going slightly up. A little wait and see, but I think everybody's a little more excited over that than Zach Wilson. So let's talk about some other stock players that have their stocks going up or down right as the playoffs are approaching. And these are guys that I know at this time, you know, you're probably not going to be able to go trade for them, but just some guys that, you know, you might be able to find on waivers or maybe you've been stashing and you might really need to consider like starting them over some of these studs who maybe their stock is going down, especially matchup dependent type of thing. One of the first guys, AJ, that I wrote down, and we're going to start with quarterbacks, Jimmy Garoppolo. Don't look now, man, but this guy has been playing very, very well lately. Over the last 3 weeks, his fantasy points per game puts him at QB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which I know isn't like game breaking or anything, but it's QB 10, man. 20 points per game, over 20 points per game for fantasy. You know, you're talking about he's actually been playing better per game than Josh Allen, than Kyler Murray, well, I'll get to that one. You know, but he's right there with like Jalen Hurts, Dak. He's ahead of Geno. He's ahead of Brady. He's ahead of all these guys. And I believe the playoff matchups for him, I did not look this up, but his playoff matchups are fairly good coming down in the playoffs here. Oh, yes, it is. 15, 16, 17. He gets Seattle, Washington, and then Mike LaPlante's favorite to pick on, Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, he gets some nice playoff matchups. I mean, if he's out there in your leagues, you got to go get him, right?
Yeah, he should not be out there in your leagues at this point. I mean, especially after Monday. I mean, he's going to be the hottest pickup, I feel like, this week. Or he probably already was today, but I know some do Thursdays. So, dude, if you don't have him, go get him. Like, no matter what, even if you need to try to trade for him, if you still have a trade deadline that hasn't passed. I mean, I know we're getting kind of down to the wire on some of these things, but
this is usually the last week for trades. But if it hasn't already passed, I mean, look, I get it. It's still going to be hard to start Jimmy G over like a Hurts, and you're not going to over a Dak, over, you know, you're definitely not doing it over Allen or Mahomes or Burrow or those guys. If you stumble into the playoffs with like even like a Geno who's kind of going down from where he was, you're stumbling in there with honestly, even with like a Justin Herbert who hasn't really looked awesome.
Yeah.
You start some Jimmy G over him, like, the weapons are there now with CMC and Debo balling out, and Ayuk's really picked it up, and Kittle's really getting going. This team is looking nice, man. He was super efficient the last couple of games, 19 out of 28, 20 out of 29, 21 out of 25. Like he just doesn't miss. And you've seen all the graphics on all, whenever they play on Sunday night, especially Collinsworth is, all the yards after the catch. I mean, but it's all true. Like the yards after the catch that CMC, that Ayuk and Debo and Kittle have is incredible. And so to where he doesn't have a huge like down the field presence, those guys make it happen for him. He can just dump it off and they'll go get an extra like 10, 15 yards.
How dare you disrespect Kyle Juszczyk like that and not even mention him?
Pro Bowler.
I'm kidding.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Moving on.
I'm kidding.
But anyway, so that's one stock up, man. I want to get another one here. And I think this one is fairly obvious. And this kind of brings up some other news that we had. And that is
Mike White.
Latavius Murray stock up right now. And I get it, man. Latavius Murray, like, are you kidding me? This dude's like 45 years old. Well,
Don't matter.
Opportunity is opportunity. And Mr. 32-year-old Latavius Murray is going to have this Denver Broncos backfield all to himself because they decided to cut fumbler Melvin Gordon. And Chase Edmonds, who they signed like a week ago, is going to miss a bunch of time with an injury.
IR.
I mean, yeah. Oh, is he officially in the IR? Did it?
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
If you would have checked the fantasy six-pack depth charts, you would have seen that. Just saying. Although,
Right.
to be fair, I did not update the published date on them. So
I did
My
this
bad.
morning, but I obviously didn't read it
okay.
anyway. Yeah, so, but Latavius Murray, so, I mean, like, unless you think Marlon Mack is going to be a presence there,
no.
Latavius Murray's stock is going way up. And, I mean, I think we don't need to dive too much into this because it's just obvious with opportunity, right? But, I mean, he has seen, even last week, 17 carries. The yardage isn't going to be there, but as much as this offense sucks, they do seem to at least get within the red zone of 1 or 2 times a game. And sure, he'll fall into the end zone. Like Murray, he's still a big dude, man. The dude's still like 6'3", 230. He's still going to be hard to bring down. You get knocking on the door from within 5 yards. So, you're hoping for just a whole bunch of carries, 50, 60, 70 yards, and maybe a touchdown. You're looking at a good RB2 day out of him.
Yeah.
So
I don't chime in very often here, but the one thing I will just say is the work is there. It's just in my eyes, he's touchdown dependent. And like you said, because it's pretty much what you said, but just to give you a little bit of gist of, how much they get into the red zone and, how much they score. According to teamrankings.com, Denver is dead last in red zone percentage with a 36.36% chance of scoring. That is 6 percentage points below the next at 31st, and that's New England.
all right. Well, let me just say this also to
Just devil's advocate.
I get that the fact that this offense is terrible, and I did say that. But over the last 3 weeks, Latavius Murray is RB25 on a points per game basis. And that was with Melvin Gordon there. You got rid of Melvin Gordon and Chase Edmonds, who they signed to also take some snaps away. It's only got to get better, right? I mean, it can't get worse. Can it?
You would think that, and I'll just give you one example and we can move on here, but Kadarius Toney.
I mean, you're saying Murray's going to get hurt in the first quarter?
I was just giving you an example of how it could fail. But that's it.
I feel like me and like 3 other people on Twitter were the only ones being like, Tony still sucks. Stop it, people. And I know he got hurt, but he wasn't being used. Like, he wasn't integrated into that offense enough before last week's game to be this like superstar. I know he scored that crazy touchdown, 4 targets in a game that Juju and then Hardman didn't even start, and Juju got hurt in the first quarter. He still only saw 4 targets. Why did we think Tony was going to be this like, automatic wide receiver start?
Because everybody was all over him early in the season when he was with the G-Men. Like,
Everybody
he was just getting a ton of hype.
Everybody was
it's
hoping it was going to happen.
Galladay.
Look, I don't hope it happens with Murray. I just think there's a better chance than with Tony.
You have that working in your favor, though, because we do have the workload present for Murray, unlike being present for Kadarius Toney.
Exactly.
Well,
all right.
The other thing, I just real quick.
Sure.
I mean, Murray has been able to be productive in the past as well. Granted, not really as a go-to bell cow back. He's always kind of fit in as this change of pace or ride the hot hand, but that's kind of been it. I mean, honestly, though, with Edmonds hurt and Gordon waived, I mean, I just don't. I get that you don't like the fact that Gordon's fumbling the ball, but your running back room is completely depleted. Everybody that they have is on the freaking IR or waived now. So
yeah. So we do have a question here about Latavius Murray here from on YouTube. Gostert here or Ghostart. I don't know. Sorry. Could be whatever. Sorry. Does he catch any passes? I mean, he's seen 7 targets in the last combined in the last 2 games. Not a lot, but for running backs, that's not horrible. I'll be honest.
Yeah. For an RB, I mean, the past 3 games he's got a 10.4% target share. Now, target share is a skewed statistic here.
Yeah,
but that's still pretty good for an RB.
I mean, he's same other people that had the same target share around him. He's got more than Jonathan Taylor. He's got the same as Chubb. So, like, I mean, I get it. Those guys aren't like. He's actually got more than Barkley. That has to only be 2 games. Were they on bye during that? They were. Yeah. But regardless, like it's still. You would expect Barkley. Actually, the Broncos were on bye in one of those weeks, so he actually has more than Barkley. So there you go. Like, we all want our running backs to catch a ton of passes, but and that helps their value tremendously. But I don't lean on that as much as, after you get past like the absolute crazy pass catchers like Eckler and guys like that. So, but yes, he will be involved. Just, not as much as like an Eckler. So, there you go. So, all right, man. Next guy here, another running back that I added in after I wrote all the notes. I just realized I had completely forgotten to write him in here. But I wrote about him in my touches, targets, and snap count article that I write every week for Fantasy Six Pack, and it's Isiah Pacheco. He has seen a pretty good workload here over the last couple of weeks. And we have now seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire go on the IR. McKinnon and him are the last 2 left there that are going to matter at all in that backfield.
Rojo.
By the way,
Rojo season.
He ran for 100 yards last week. First time since week 4 of last season for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, look, I get it. The Chiefs don't rely on their running game a lot, but this guy runs with a purpose, man. I've watched the games with him, and he runs hard. He runs angry. This guy wants it. The problem is with him, and back to Ghostart's point, he is absolutely not included in the passing game. Like, that's what's not good, right? You want somebody who's at least like sprinkled in. he gets nothing. I'm trying to think. I think I wrote down the stat. He has like 3 targets, maybe
Three
all
targets
season.
on the year. Three
Well,
targets on
they
the
don't
year.
need it with McKinnon. I mean, Allaire was
Well, and Hilaire was heavily involved in the
okay,
passing game
getting
too.
getting catches, but he's just completely gone from my favorite draft pick to screw you to gone.
Well, the
life
other
of a
thing, I
running
don't know
back.
if you saw the game on Sunday night last week.
I did not. No.
Pacheco, the Chiefs were backed up on their like own 5 or 6 yard line. Pacheco was in the backfield and got blown up and almost got Mahomes like sacked for a safety. Mahomes got out of it and threw the ball away or whatever, but it was just like, oh no. I mean, granted, it was like one of the best defenders in the league, but I mean, he just like it just was like, here, ragdoll, get out of my way, and just like ran through him. It just was like nothing. So like that's gonna be a problem to keep him on the field for passing downs. But you do like the workload, and so I think that easily puts him into flex territory for this season going forward. So I don't know if you got any other thoughts about Pacheco, but I think he's somebody that people need to be. I know people were already buying into him, and he's been rostered a lot of places, but I do think he is somebody that
I feel like he was rostered early and was like a draft sleeper until his stock blew way up, and then he just wasn't getting used. So a lot of people cut bait.
Well, yeah, for obvious reasons. He was nothing.
Yeah. So I mean, he could be back out there for you. So yeah, I think he's worth an.
Yeah, 65% rostered in Yahoo, 44 in ESPN. I do not know sleepers percentage right now. I don't have it pulled up, but I mean, last week, look at these yards per attempt. The last couple games, 16 for 82, 5.1, 15 for 107, 7.1. I mean, a lot of that really does have to do with Mahomes.
Yeah,
you're so focused on that passing game. Here's the thing: last game, right? They didn't have Juju, they didn't have Hardman. Tony got hurt, right? And so like the offense really wasn't going until they finally started leaning on this run game a little bit more. Now it is also funny that McKinnon did outsnap him. Just definitely did not see the amount of work, but so maybe defenses key into that and say, okay, anytime Pacheco's on the field, it is more likely a run than it is with McKinnon there. Also, as you said, McKinnon can catch passes, so that happens too. But let's jump into some receivers here and a guy who it's hard to talk trash about right now for the Giants. I know we like to say suck it, Keith, but did I just now? Sorry.
Yeah, get it right.
For the G-Man, Darius Slayton. Who's kind of been, he's had a good couple weeks in a row here, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, but it's still the Giants and it's still Slayton. There's still a lot of guys there, but man, they just keep
not really
keep going away, right? They traded Tony.
Yep.
So then you're going, oh, Wan'Dale Robinson time. Well, he just got hurt. It's clearly not going to be
Kenny
Galladay.
Don't do it.
Yeah, no, don't fall into the trap. Do not fall in the trap. Go ahead and send this clip to Fantasy Receipts. I do not care. Do not fall into the traps of Kenny Galladay. He is garbage.
Garbage all day is what his name should be.
There is, look, there's a bunch of other just dudes there for the Giants. But Slayton's been solid, man. Last week he saw 10 targets against the Giants. Granted, that wasn't they were getting blown out, so he had to see a lot of targets, but saw 4, caught 3 for 95 and a touchdown the week before. Saw 6, caught 5 for 66 the week before that. He's been a solid receiver for the last 4 weeks, really. And over the last 3 weeks, points per game, he's Let's see here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. RB or wide receiver 13 and a half PPR over the last 3 weeks. Points per game. I mean, I know you're looking at it going, it's Darius Slayton. Like, how the hell do I start him over some of these dudes? But I guarantee you guys, somebody's got flex spots. Somebody's got a wide receiver 3 that's just got like name value at this point that you're going like, you just got to throw him in there.
Yeah.
You might not need to anymore. Darius Slayton's stock is going way up. Agreed?
Yeah, dude. I mean, it all started with the jersey, the signed jersey that I got that we gave away at last year's expo.
Yeah, that
was boys
2021, right?
Yeah. No, but I mean, Slayton is interesting to me because he was like left for dead. It seemed like. I mean, he was just a forgotten guy on this offense. Barkley coming back, getting a lot of attention. Danny Jones, playing decent and getting some rushing as well.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have Tony. They lost Sterling Sharp. It was
Shepherd.
just sorry,
Sharp.
Jesus Christ.
Man, you're like back in the 90s.
Okay.
You're talking about me getting old before the show. Jeez.
I meant Shay Sharp.
What?
I like Sterling Sharp better. Yes. So I mean, he had to come back to life this year, and I'm actually happy to see it because I have been a fan of Slayton's. I felt like he just didn't get enough of a chance to really keep going. A little bit of a boom and bust, but I mean, again, there's nobody else there to throw to. Their tight ends hurt. They don't have anything. So
yeah, it's like him and Barkley at this point.
Yeah.
So we do have a couple of questions from GoStart here. If Fournette is out, I think I'm playing Rashad White over James Conner. That I have not done the math. If Fournette is out, that's gonna be tight. They're gonna be really close, honestly. I would check back in on the rankings later in the week to figure out if that's the right play. I have Latavius Murray too. I would start both White and Conner over Murray if Fournette is out. Murray and White are pretty close if Fournette plays, but I lean White. Definitely playing with I'm guessing that is Kenneth Walker. Yes, yeah. Agreed. Walker is a lock. What is a lock? So to me, right now it's Walker and Conner. If Fournette is out, it's kind of a coin flip between White and Conner to me. I actually might lean White. Like the more I think about it, if Fournette is out, I kind of think White would propel into that.
White would be a good play. I mean,
he's already like back end RB2 for me.
Yeah,
Connor's his top end RB2 for me, so he's gonna jump the whole top of the tier for me.
I would start all three of those guys and then leave Murray out of it. I mean, how is Walker a waiver wire pickup?
I think that's just a typo. So he's saying Diggs, Lamb, Hopkins off waiver wire, Olave, Gabe Davis. So I'm good. Yes, you are. Holy cow! Yes, man.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah,
that's pretty. Hopkins off waiver wire. Yikes! All right.
I want to have your waiver wire.
Jump in here. Next guy here, we got Treylon Burks. Guy came off of the IR just a couple of weeks ago. And since then, he has seen a total of 14 targets. The first week wasn't awesome. Getting a little, getting his feet under him. Denver's defense is pretty good, so gotta cut him a little slack. But last week, man, against Green Bay, caught 7 of his 8 targets for 111 yards. Dude looked awesome. We all knew this guy had a boatload of talent coming out of college. There was a lot of talk. Like, if anybody could replace AJ Brown in his offense, it was Treylon Burks, and he's showing it right now. So his stock is going up. What do you think about him?
I like Burks actually a lot. I liked him coming into this year, and he seemed like just a great fit for this offense that's obviously run first with Derrick Henry. They picked up Bobby Woods, but he's been dead. I mean, he's now Slayton 2.0 before these past few weeks. They're not going to throw the ball a lot, but when they do, if he's going to get this kind of target share, he's going to be a monster down the stretch.
Yeah,
and he's difficult dude to bring down. So I definitely like his upside, and again, with him coming off the IR and only having a few games, I feel like this is the week where a lot of people are going to be like, I need to go get him.
Oh, well, no, I mean,
if he's sitting there,
you're not
randomly.
gonna be able to go get him. Geez, man, Yahoo 22 and 23%.
Yeah, you can.
I wish, man. I need to be in some easier leagues. I'm so sick and tired of every good player being. I look at my waiver wire every week. You're in the same
it's like,
couple of the same league. I look at them. I'm like,
awesome.
It's boring. I'm like, I don't want to pick up any of these guys, but I have to. I got to pick up somebody. I got to take a chance. But yeah, Treylon Burks is somebody that could definitely be out there, and
32%.
You need to consider starting. Back end of your receivers. Consider starting in your flex. He's going to be good. Last guy here for tight end. We're going to go with Dawson Knox, and he's been super disappointing, but I mean, like, a lot of tight ends have been pretty bad, but I mean, really what it comes down to with him is the target share over the last couple of weeks, 13 targets total in the last 2 weeks. That is trending up and definitely something you want to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. And I know for me this week, I'm looking at my rankings. I have promptly put him at tight end 7. That is probably his highest ranking all year for me, outside of maybe the first few weeks when we thought like he was still going to do what he did last year. But now he's getting more targets, maybe not catching the touchdown still, but that's still going to make him very, very usable in fantasy, considering how just putrid the tight end landscape is.
It is garbage. Not quite Kenny Galladay garbage, but close. Yeah, I like Knox. Again, I kind of feel like he was destined for some drop off last year because he had so much red zone work, and that's really what people counted on from him. Obviously, he's been a little banged up this year. Diggs has commanded the majority of that offense, between him and Gabe Davis. It just seems like Dawson's kind of a forgotten guy too, when he's been healthy. But I do like this upside of seeing a lot more targets over these past couple games. And heading into the playoffs, that could be good, especially if he happens to be sitting out there. I don't know what his percentage owned is, but
he might be out there. I hadn't thought of that. He might be out there.
You're looking at the Goddard. He may have been snatched
actually
up last week.
He's because of last season. Knox is,
I think it was last week,
72 and 70% of leagues. So it's gonna be hard to find him. But he actually was hanging out there in a couple of my leagues, even.
Yeah,
I'm going thanks, because I had a guy who, and we're gonna skip way down the list of the trending down list here, and we're going to go right to the end of it for the tight ends, just because the guy that I'm replacing, who I thought, like, fine, maybe he's got a safer floor than we all thought coming into the season, was Taysom Hill. Oof. God.
Yeah.
What happened to this guy, man? He's been awful. Last week was a little bit better, but he's just ever
guess,
since
they don't need him at tight end because they've got Johnson.
But so they weren't
and
using
Troutman.
him at tight end, right? They were using him as like a gadget guy, but he just wasn't.
Yeah.
He just hasn't been getting used that way. I mean, look, last week was fine. 9 carries for 52 yards. You love that. That's what you want, right? Because you expect him to maybe break one of those, maybe 2 for a touchdown. That's what you want, right? The week before that against Pittsburgh, 3 times for 1 yard. The week before that against Baltimore, 1 rush for 6 yards. Then he had 10 for 61 against Vegas, so fine. Then he had 3 for 9 and fell into the end zone with one of them, thankfully. But like he hasn't really gotten the opportunities lately. It seems like it's really trending down. And so I'm kind of off the train of Taysom Hill. I mean, agree, disagree? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. I wasn't really ever on his train this year, just because I didn't think that he'd really see a lot of usage. He was in my wait and see category early on, because obviously, Peyton loved him, and could get the best out of him. I just don't see that right now. I'm not saying that it's not going to happen, but based on his up and down usage and the emergence of Jahan Dotson, again, they've got injuries where they could use this guy. I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just like a Dalton thing, or
see, that was the thing with me, was that he was a total wait and see for me too. I had him down at like tight end. I don't even remember what my draft ranking for him was like. Hell the fuck no, right? Like, no way am I drafting this guy. No way am I picking this guy up. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Then he had tons of carries. He was getting past the ball. Like, he got tons of usage, and you're like, okay, so maybe this is a thing, and it was actually working better this year than in some of the years past. I was like, all right, well, now that he's back to tight end, you can plug him in, and if he's gonna get 10 carries a game, 10 carries a game as a tight end, you're taking that.
Oh yeah,
right. Excuse me.
The last 3
but
weeks,
it's been going downhill, man. Like, and it happened early, but it's going downhill. We do have one more question from Ghost right here. Fields or Geno or Fields, Geno, or waiver? Clarify, because like I don't know. I wouldn't. Do you mean one of those two or somebody on waiver, or like are both of them on your waiver and you want to pick one of them up? I would need to know who you would be considering dropping, because obviously those two guys are phenomenal, but sounds like you're in a little bit of a shallow league, so I need to know who you would need to pick up. But let's go to the top of the stock down list, and we'll start with Lamar Jackson. And this one might surprise people, and maybe people just aren't paying enough attention to it because clearly it's Lamar, and everybody just auto plugs and plays him in. He hasn't been that great. Outside of the first 3 weeks, man, we're looking at QB finishes of 19, 15, 11, 22, 9, 10, and 15. Even 11 and 9 are like outside of where you expect Lamar to finish, right? You pretty much always expect Lamar to be in the top 5, 6, right? And it's just not happening. Teams have limited his runs. They're not giving him those like down the field, like 30, 40-yard runs that he sometimes busts off. His passing yardage isn't where it has been. And his receiving core is clearly not where he wants it to be. Bateman's hurt. Andrews has been hurt. That is not helping things. I don't know. I do not, and I'm probably one of the only ones this week, but I do not have Lamar as an auto plug and play right now. He's still in my QB1 area, but it's not as automatic as it has been for me. He's QB9 for me this week. I mean, like, the stock is falling right now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at where he started the season, and the yardage.
It was bonkers.
Two was nice, but
it was so good.
I mean, he had 10 touchdowns, passing touchdowns in the first 3 weeks. Since then, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's now equaled his total of the first 2 weeks.
He barely beat Carolina last week.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on?
I mean, he had 12 touchdowns in the first 3 weeks. Sorry, 2 of them, 2 more rushing. Add 1 more in for rushing from last week, but he didn't have a throwing touchdown. So, I mean, you can't, excuse me, you can't rely on, the potential in hoping that he's going to get touchdowns and whatnot, because that's kind of what he is right now. He's very touchdown dependent, it seems like. And okay, like a low to mid-teens is not what you're banking on for somebody that you took as your first quarterback and may not have even drafted a second one until super late, depending on your league size and setup. But I agree, he's just not a plug and play guy right now. He also missed practice today with a hip injury, so
yeah, I mean, that could be playing.
Maybe there's more to that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Look, it is going to be hard to sit a Lamar because of where you drafted him, and you probably didn't. You probably weren't picking up some of these guys that really kind of busted onto the scene. Geno, Fields, right? You didn't pick up those guys. Your backup probably, if you even drafted one, was probably like a, I don't know, like a Jared Goff at best. Like that's because you when you draft a guy like Lamar, you're not looking for backups at that point. You're thinking he's plug and play. I'm only going to worry about it on bye week. Lamar is going to. He's not gonna lose you the week, right? He's just, it just doesn't feel like he's got that 30, 25 even point potential at this point. It seems really, he's just kind of in the middle of the pack, sort of QB1 territory where, he's streamable with even guys like Jimmy Garoppolo. Sorry to say it, guys. I know nobody wants to hear it, but that's what's going on. So he's a guy whose stock is going down, and you might want to think about playing some matchups in the playoffs because I believe they've got no.
They already have their.
They've got a pretty favorable schedule in the playoffs. So yeah, I'm not look, nobody had said anything about dropping, so if anybody ever took that, but Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Atlanta, then Pittsburgh again, pretty nice matchups. However, Pittsburgh and Baltimore always seem to play each other tough, so those divisional matchups, and even with Cleveland, divisional matchups, man, I mean, they're just a different ball game.
Didn't even get double digits scoring.
They are just a different ball game
in the CSPN league. Against Cleveland, 9 points.
So a couple guys here. I'm gonna lump these two running backs together here just to save some time here. We got Cordarrelle Patterson. I mean, if it wasn't, I know he returned from the IR, played okay. He had those like 2 touchdowns in the red zone the first week. The second week was awful. Didn't do anything. Last week, if you really look at it, he didn't do anything either. If it hadn't
He
been for the
didn't do anything.
receiving touchdown, or sorry,
No, the return,
return touchdown. I mean,
which
congratulations on the
didn't
record.
count. It did
Well,
not count in some leagues.
Yeah, I think most. Well, if you're smart enough, most leagues it does. But
Yeah.
still, congratulations on the all-time kickoff return touchdown record.
Yeah.
But for fantasy,
Solid.
it's not helping everybody, and you're not getting the workload that everybody hoped. And then Kamara is getting the workload that we all expect and we all like here, but it's not really like turning. It's I don't know, like. We came into the season with Kamara, and I feel like it was, the rushing efficiency was trending down, right? And so we all sort of knew that was happening, and the offense wasn't going to be as good, right?
Yeah.
However, you're going, but it's still Kamara, and he's still going to get a ton of passing work, which he kind of is. But the last 3 weeks, 4, 4, and 5 targets. That's not what we're looking for, and those weeks are his 3 worst weeks of the season combined. 8 points, 6 points, and 11 points, half PPR. Outside of those first couple of weeks where he was sort of banged up, and then he also missed a week, but he came back sort of strong, and then really strong that one week, obviously, with 3 touchdowns. But since that 3 touchdown game, not what you're hoping for. So, quick, give me 30 seconds on CPAT and Kamara so we can move on.
I mean, CPAT, again, it's kind of just a down offense in general. The thing that might help him now is Kyle Pitts going on the IR. Not that he was really doing a lot, but those targets need to go somewhere. So I could see him scooping some of that up. Kamara, I mean, again, he's basically, he seems to be what he is right now. I mean, I feel like he's hit the running back wall in a sense, and people know how to get to him, how to stop him. He's still getting usage, but I mean, if he's not getting passing usage, which is really where his bread and butter was, I just don't know if he's. It's hard to bench him, especially with Mark Ingram kind of being banged up the past few weeks and not even playing. You would hope that he would have gotten some more play with that, but he just hasn't. I mean, again, it's just too.
It is weird. Like even his rushing
mediocre team
has gone down. We've seen single digits 2 out of 3 weeks here, so it is very, very odd here. And to finish off here with stock down, so I kind of throw in your Eagles, man. I kind of I wanted to talk about a whole bunch of them, so I picked on AJ Brown, but it's really the whole Eagles team right now. The last couple of weeks has been bad. AJ Brown is outside of Jalen Hurts is like probably the biggest name, for fantasy as far as like point producer. But they're all down right now. But last week he caught 6 for 67. That's fine. He's still really hard to sit because it's AJ Brown and we've seen what he's done. But man, if you really look at his consistency this year, it hasn't been good.
It's been very up and down.
It's almost like Amari Cooper-esque, man. He's almost like, which is crazy to think, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if that necessarily goes into game script, into situational play as far as what's going on. I mean, the Eagles have been like a even more than just a tale of two halves. They've been a tale of quarters, this year. Like their first quarters haven't been good. And then they get off to these slow starts, but then the second quarter they dominate. Third quarter they're just kind of like, man, on cruise control a little bit. And then the fourth quarter, before these last few games was like, now what? They weren't scoring much in the second half in general. They've kind of righted that ship, but now they're falling off in other places. I mean, like Miles Sanders is not getting used a lot at all.
Yeah, the problem is the offense has not been on the field as much. The offense, like I said, the last few weeks has just sort of taken a turn for the worse. And like this could just be like mid-season hiccup. We'll figure it out. I think the offense is good enough, but it is worrisome. And I looked at AJ Brown specifically. You're looking at wide receiver finishes of 739, 13, 21. Those are good. 69, then 12, then 1, 13, good. Then 93 and 48.
Yeah.
Again, that correlates to Hurts, those last couple of weeks, Hurts not being as good. Hurts saves himself because, he'll run in for a touchdown almost every game, it feels like.
Last week's game was just a hard-fought game, and Hurts just took it on himself. He just said, all right, screw it. I'm winning this game.
And he should have.
And he did. And that's fine. The game against Washington, Washington had them figured out as far as keeping that offense off the field for these long sustained drives.
Washington's defense, by the way, looking good all of a sudden. Look out.
Philly's defense got worn down in that game. They still played well enough, and the offense still had a chance to win. The turnovers just killed them. So it was fluky in general, but I'm not too worried about AJ Brown. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, and last one here I wrote down, and we don't really need to get into it. We have one question that I want you to answer. Help me answer here. I wrote down Jahan Dotson. He's a guy who I think because of his start to the season, everybody was hoping that he was going to be able to come back and be that Dotson where he was scoring touchdown, getting a lot of usage. I don't know if he's still injured or if it's just that Heineke, it doesn't have the rhythm with him or, the chemistry with him, but you can safely cut Dotson if you have not already done so. That ship has sailed at this point in the season.
Yeah.
But so back to Go Start here. So we've been having a conversation on YouTube here with all of this. So he's saying his quarterbacks are Justin Fields and Geno Smith, 10-man league. He can go pick up either Watson or Daniel Jones or Jared Goff, and then so on and so forth. Like there's a bunch of other players, but those are probably the top three. I'm mildly interested in Watson, but those two guys have been so good. I feel like it's really hard to cut either one of them for a Watson who you're hoping is going to be good. And he wasn't in the preseason. So he hasn't played in 2 years. I don't know if I can pull the trigger on Watson over those two.
I don't think I would. I mean, if you have somebody else you could cut to
I don't know if I'm holding 3 quarterbacks in a 10-team league. That's rough.
I mean, unless you can trade one of these two and get something to fill one of your other needs.
That's rough, man. That's a tough one, Go Start, man. I wish. I
still think he's going to stay there. I mean, I don't, unless he comes out in next week when he's first eligible to come back and play, and just lights the world on fire. Then okay, but I still like these other two better. They've been playing all season.
The only one that sort of concerns me is obviously is Fields with the shoulder, but he even said it. Fields was clear to practice, so
yeah.
Unless he gets ruled out. Here's one from Daniel Keenan. Play one flex, one wide receiver in a PPR out of Mostert, Jamal Williams, DJ Moore, Christian Kirk, and Myers. And this one's easy to me, but I'm going to let you answer first, and then I'll give my answer.
I'm going Williams and Kirk.
Yeah, that's the easy answer to me. Easy. Williams has been a monster. Swift is not heavily involved right now enough to knock Williams down, and Kirk has just been lights out, man. He's just PPR monster right now. So You love the usage. 10, 7, 9, and 12 targets out of the last 4 weeks he's played. Yeah, you're not turning that down for any of those guys. So thank you, Daniel, for tuning in. And yeah, we did miss talking about this real quick. So I don't know. So I guess Mike added this here. So Houston players stock up, stock down potentially.
No, I added it.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah,
With Kyle Allen now being the starter in
I
Houston.
literally just saw this news.
I'm moving on. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
If anything, you might need to think about not using Dameon Pierce as much, which actually sucks because he's been awesome. Well,
yeah,
not the last couple of weeks, but still very good. So, let's get in my rankings and close this ship out, huh?
All right. So, quarterback rankings. We've got the Dak attack coming at you on Turkey Day, per usual, against the G-Men this year. Hashtag Second Keith. But does it really matter? Because Dallas is only 2-4 on Thanksgiving since Dak came to Big D. Now, granted, he did not play in 2020, so technically 2-3 with Dak. Not terrible, but I mean, this is America's team. This is supposed to be the game of the year for Dallas, and they've sucked the last 10 years. I mean, you've got Dak 2 higher than ECR, so you think he's going to reverse his fortunes here? Little recency bias?
Little recency bias. I mean, Dak's been playing well. The Giants have not. I mean, to put it lightly. And I mean, even so, like the Giants are 27th, ranked 27th for passing defense for DVOA. And we're liking how Pollard's getting integrated into this offense more. Zeke is back. That's only going to help. CeeDee Lamb's been a monster the last few weeks. I just think that, Dak is really going to be able to have his way with this Giants defense, who I think, I'll be honest, man, I know we were all, sort of like, oh, wow, this Giants team, but I kind of think this Giants team maybe pulled the wool over our faces a little bit. Like, little, not as good as, not as good as they seemed like they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think the Giants have been good, but kind of
they lost to Dallas without Dak. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and kind of in a similar vein to the Eagles, I feel like they've been playing up on a weaker schedule.
Yeah.
But they were exposed last week, and I think that's just going to be more frequent what we're going to see. The smoke and mirrors can only last so long. So I don't know. I mean, I don't really know which team to root for here. Obviously, I feel like the Giants.
I just don't root for any of them.
I just don't watch. Care.
I just watch.
Yeah, it's I just don't care. I hate both of these things. It's a kicker's day. All right. So next question we got here. Is Matt Ryan worth a streaming auction this week? They're playing Pittsburgh. They allow the 6th most points to quarterbacks. There's no buys at all this week.
No. Can I just make that one short?
Moving on.
Matt Ryan is definitely not streamable worthy. I get it's Pittsburgh, but no, thank you. Goodbye.
Yeah. All right, running backs. Jeff Wilson is playing Houston this week, but why is he not a top 12 running back on this matchup? You've got him 1 spot below consensus, so not too far off, but it's a juicy matchup.
It is. I really don't have a good answer. I mean, like he's been used a lot. I think you hope that. I think what you kind of expect to happen here in this game is that they're going to get up big, and it's probably going to be because of Tyreek and Waddle and Tua, right? And then I mean Wilson and even Mostert will get involved at some point, but with a full slate of games, it's hard to put him in the top 12. There's just too many ridiculously good running backs.
Yeah.
He has finished RB1 the last couple of weeks, but that hasn't been a full slate of games. So you knock him just outside of it with the full slate of games.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. Next up, we kind of touched on one of these players a little bit earlier, so probably don't need to hit too hard on it. CEH on the IR is Isiah Pacheco, an RB2 without CEH there. This week, it looks like you don't have him listed there. He's one spot below consensus at RB27.
Yeah, he's a guy who I've been moving around a little bit. Right now, I've got guys like White and Pirine ahead of him, which clearly could change based on injuries to their respective backfield mates. So he could slide above them. Murray jumped a bit, so that moved him down. He's going to be right on the back end of that RB2 tier. So he's going to be startable in a lot of leagues, in my opinion. And, I mentioned it earlier, he's easily a flex caliber player in most leagues. The biggest worry is he just doesn't catch a damn ball. So 3 targets on the year, 3 receptions, but 13 total yards. So you're not going to get anything there, unfortunately.
Yeah. And the other thing, they're going against the Rams. They still have a pretty solid defense.
Pretty good defense, yes.
Even though their offense sucks donkey nuts.
Yep.
Wide receiver. Is Josh Palmer now a set it and forget it type of receiver without Mike Williams or Keenan Allen, which both of them have been, out, both played last week, but Williams went out again early. Or is he just relevant when there's the injuries?
I mean, yeah, it's funny. Like he had his best game when one of them, when Keenan Allen was healthy and not Mike Williams.
Yeah.
So you kind of like the fact that Keenan Allen is still pretty healthy and Mike Williams is out. Or seemingly we think Mike Williams. That's the way it kind of seems like it's trending right now. Set it and forget it. No, I disagree with that. Arizona's a phenomenal matchup, but it's not. He hasn't been a consistent performer, even when both of those guys were out, or even when it was just Mike Williams. Palmer has not been like a guy that we can just be like, oh yeah, click, we're just going to plug him in. We hope, opportunity can be there with one of them out. And it worked last week, but also the team didn't game plan for Josh Palmer. They game plan for Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. And sometimes that's how this game works, right? You game plan for a guy. Look, we saw it last week. Mixon went out. It's like the defense had no idea how to cover Samaje Perine. He probably did the exact same crap that Joe Mixon was going to do. It just, they were like, oh, Samaje Perine, like, oh, we don't know that guy. Is he actually on the field? Like, oh, we're just going to let him run in the end zone 3 times.
Who's parent?
It made no sense, man. Like, we see backup quarterbacks do this crap all the time. Like, it doesn't make any sense. The plays they call are actually probably more simplified, so it makes 0 sense. But we got a couple questions here before we jump into the next one here. We got some conversation going here. I love it, by the way. Ghost start and one more. Here's a good one. Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, or Miles Sanders? Whoa, man,
Ayuk.
that is that's kind of how I was
where I'm
leaning
going.
here. Ayuk's been
I like
I got
Myers.
Ayuk and Myers pretty back to back, honestly. If it's PPR, I think I'm leaning Myers just because you expect more receptions. Ayuk is still pretty touchdown dependent, in my opinion. So if it's half PPR, I go Ayuk. If it's full PPR, I go Myers.
I will say this. I feel like this game for Sunday night is going to come down to, it's going to be a lower scoring game in my mind. Both offensive lines are very good.
I didn't.
Defensive lines are going to be kind of good, so I don't know if Sanders is really going to be able to do much.
Yeah, and then we got RS German here traded Pierce and Olave for Chase. How are we feeling? I love it. Chase could, if Chase is healthy, man, that's a game-winning move, man. Pierce has been trending down. Olave's fine. Olave's good, but not Jamar Chase level. So I like it.
Yeah. I think the other thing with Pierce too, he's been getting good yardage, but he's not getting in the end zone.
Well, yeah, I mean, the offense is unless he breaks off those big runs like he was doing earlier in the year. But so I like that move here. So let's move on to our last receiver rankings question for me, AJ.
All right, last question here is, how do you rank these receivers from Houston? We've got Brandon Cooks at wide receiver 40, 4 spots above consensus. Nico Collins at 49, 4 spots below consensus. I don't know. I gotta know how your process works here. I mean, what is this? You just find a number and then split it and put one half this way, one half that way.
So I just draw numbers out of a hat. Is that cool? No. I mean, look, Cooks hasn't been good. To expect him
someone else we could have put stock down in general.
I thought about it. Cooks hasn't been good, and to expect him to finish, what is his ECR? Like what you're saying? So I finished 4 spots above. So I put him.
You have him at wide receiver 40. His ECR is,
and his ECR is 44. I mean, fine, he hasn't been good, but I mean, like, is he better than Allen Robinson? Maybe. Is he better than Thielen? Maybe. I mean, at this point, like, it is what it is. Like, look, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I did do these rankings before I knew Davis Mills was benched. So
that news just
my ECR is probably a little skewed. So it is Wednesday. Take it with a grain of salt. It will change. It will change tomorrow multiple times because of the Thursday games, and then it will change again over the weekend. So come back for more. But the process really is you evaluate how the player's been doing.
Ooh,
you evaluate how the player's been doing. You evaluate the defense. And you kind of play a little middle ground with it. You take some projection data, that kind of stuff, and you go from there. It's sort of a little gut feeling here, man. We have a lot of questions, so I'm going to let you finish the rankings, and then, guys, I promise you we will get to all of you.
So again, we talked about Wilson being out. So the lone tight end question we have here,
Charles Robinson, Davis.
Nice. How are you ranking Conklin without Wilson as the starter? You've got him at tight end 16, which is 3 above consensus, but are you in favor of him?
I was way more in favor of him when I thought it was going to be Joe Flacco, but Yeah, as soon as I found that out, I quickly went back in. As soon as I found out it was not Joe Flacco, I went in and moved him back down. I don't like Conklin. He's just not getting the work, and I didn't look up the data on how often Mike White targeted tight ends in his 4 games last season. They did not have Tyler Conklin. Remember that, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing it wasn't good. If Michael Carter saw 7.25 targets per game, it means he checked down the ball a lot. To his running backs, in my opinion. And then, we saw Elijah Mitchell kind of bust off, a few games. So I'm not too in favor of Conklin at all here, but let's jump into these questions. Let's try to rapid fire through these and then.
All right.
Ooh. It's been moving fast. I've lost them. Hang on here.
Yeah. It was really rapid.
All right, here we go. Trey S. Evening, gents. Large question incoming. Oh, boy. Full PPR. Start 3. Boyd, Zeke. Okay, Tyler Boyd. I'm going to go slow. Tyler Boyd, Ezekiel Elliott, Juju Smith-Schuster, Michael Carter, or Rashad White. Thanks and happy holidays. Full PPR. Now, assuming Chase is healthy, I'm going.
Boyd's out.
Well, man. You got a lot of injury concerns here, man. So you got Juju that we're not sure is back. You got Chase possibly
Zeke
coming back and ruining Boyd.
Now, Zeke, I feel like Zeke's
fine. Zeke's healthy. Pollard is eating into his workload, but I think Zeke
he was questionable. I don't know if he's still.
Zeke's fine. He's going to play. So I think, honestly, full PPR. So if Chase is out, I definitely want Boyd in there. If Juju plays, play Juju. And then your third one is Rashad White? Nah, Zeke, right? Those got to be a 3. If they're all healthy, you play the first 3.
If they're all healthy,
you play Boyd.
I don't know if Zeke's getting you PPR, though. He will. Well, I'm just saying over Carter because
But we don't know. We still don't know.
We might
because
know
this year, obviously,
White and Carter. But yeah, I would agree with that. First 3, and I would lean White over Carter.
Honestly, well, yeah. So
if it came down
honestly,
to
if Fournette is out, you might bump White over Zeke, right? So there's a lot of injury speculation here that's going on. So Trey, I hate this breaking to you, man. It's really hard to. If I had to answer today, it's Boyd, Zeke, and Juju. If it's Sunday and Fournette's out, I'm moving White ahead of Zeke. If Chase plays, I'm moving Boyd probably to the very back of it. There's a lot of moving pieces with this entire lineup thing, man.
I think if Chase plays, then I would throw White in over Boyd.
It sucks because Zeke plays tomorrow, so you've got to make at least that decision. I think you're kind of stuck just throwing Zeke in there because if you don't, and well, you got decent enough options that you don't have to play Zeke, in my opinion. But Zeke's safe enough, so it's okay if you play him. I probably play Zeke and then wait on the best of the rest of the 2. That's the way I would play it. When you need the rest of those answers, by the way, Sunday morning, our producer Mike LaPlante, then we got Dylan Clemens and Michael Bonney. They do the Sunday morning happy hour. They answer all your start sit questions. You can also join our memberships, ask us on Discord. A bunch of us are there to help answer your questions, including me and AJ. So you can jump into those too. fantasy6pack.net/plans. Jump in on those. One more here. You got Tua or Dak, then Tyler or Dak. Dak sounds like he's trending in the right direction. To me, it's Tua and Dak, though, man. Those guys have been pretty unstoppable. Kyler.
I would lean Tua.
Hamstring injuries, man. With a running quarterback, those scare me.
Tua over Dak.
Yeah. Well, but then he has Kyler or Dak, so I think it's Yeah, I think it's Tua over Dak and then Dak over Kyler. So that
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah, better way to answer that. Dulcich or Komet. I lost Ertz. Man, if Fields plays, it's Komet. If not, it's probably Dulcich. I like Komet a lot.
Yeah, although he was disappointing last week.
He was disappointing.
Although,
man, Dulcich, I don't know, Dulcich was too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he
3 points, 1 point the week before, like
4 receptions for 30 yards.
So I think it's Komet.
11. I mean, Dulcich had a nice 3-game
couple
span,
game run,
but that's been it.
Yeah, Trey. I see your comment. You see my struggle. It is tough, man, but you're just going to have to wait for more information to come out, honestly, man. That's the only way you can do it. It's tough, man. Really tough with that kind of decision. You can't make that on a Wednesday night. You're going to have to wait for more injury information to come out to make the right decision. And you still may not. You really just won't. You're just going to play process, and it's process over results sometimes. This is the way this game goes. All right, man, let's jump in through these injuries, and I'll start here with the quarterbacks. So we got Colt McCoy with an elbow, limited practice on Wednesday. He was questionable. Justin Fields, as we talked about, with the shoulder. Matt Stafford is out with a neck injury. Walford is questionable, not starting. Sounds like, man, we're getting Mr. UVA. Dude, the Rams are done. The Rams are getting smoked, by the way. This is going to be the worst. What, Monday? Is it Monday night or Sunday night?
Oh, God. No, it's not Sunday. That's Eagles.
This is the Monday night game, I believe. Chiefs Rams, I believe.
No. Is it? Ugh. God, that's ugly.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm thinking it's Monday night. I hope
it's not. It is Chiefs Rams, but it's 4:25 on Sunday.
Okay.
Anyway, Monday is almost as good.
Oh,
Pittsburgh at Indy.
Carolina in Indy?
No, Pittsburgh at Indy.
That's gonna be so bad. We got some awesome primetime games this week, guys.
Real barn burners this week.
Here we got Gus Edwards, who we hope is returning. That's another one that's gonna shake up the running back ranking here. You guys gotta have to pay attention to that one. Questionable with a hammy. You got Joe Mixon, as we talked about already. He's got the concussion, didn't practice, so trending in the wrong direction, but we've seen those things like that. Latavius Murray's questionable, limited practice, doesn't sound anything too serious. What about Chase Edmonds on the IR?
They don't have anyone else.
I know, right? Aaron Jones, questionable, limited practice, probably just a maintenance day, really, for him. We got Mostert, questionable, didn't practice, so that's something else to keep an eye on. And we obviously talked about Fournette.
Yeah.
Receivers, Rondell Moore, groin, ruled out for Sunday, so that's not there for the Cardinals. We got Marquise Brown, activated off the IR, probably going to be on a pitch count. And then Greg Dortch, questionable, didn't practice Wednesday. So next man up, we thought with Dortch, but maybe not.
Yeah, he's still
Jameson Williams returning from the IR. So he is eligible to play. Not necessarily will play, but that's pretty exciting. Dynasty League managers are super excited there. Fine, go out and grab him in redraft leagues if you really have the spot, but I'm not counting on him just being a juggernaut right away. Jamar Chase, as we've talked about, limited practice. Looks like he's on his way back. Randall Cobb, questionable with an illness, limited practice. Romeo Dobbs, doubtful, didn't practice. Juju, full practice today with the concussion, so trending on his way back. Kadarius Toney didn't practice. With that hamstring injury, dude. I mean, that's what's held him out for a while is the hamstring. Yeah. So I'm not expecting him to play. Mike Williams, ankle that he re-aggravated last game, didn't practice. Allen Robinson, questionable with an ankle injury, limited practice. Wan'Dale Robinson plays on the IR, as we talked about. And then Debo, questionable with a hammy, limited practice. Keep an eye on that one. I don't know if I'm too concerned about that one, but we've seen him miss games. Tight end Kyle Pitts placed on the IR with a knee. I mean, are fantasy
Whatever.
managers sort of like relieved at this point because it's just been so
Probably.
bad with him? I mean, I kind of would be like, as sad as it is to say, now you don't have to think about it, right? We just don't have to worry
Yeah.
about Kyle Pitts anymore. David
Yeah.
Njoku questionable with an ankle and knee, didn't practice, but he'll probably be good to go. Gerald Everett, limited practice, questionable. Tyler Higbee, questionable, limited practice, and then Logan Thomas, questionable, limited practice. So lots of unknowns there. Again, it's early. We usually do this on Thursday. I wish we, could this week, but we just can't. And so you get a little less information on the injury front with all this at this point of the week.
But just following up on that, Jameson Williams, it was noted that the Lions announced it on Monday that he was designated for a return, but he's not likely to be a candidate to play tomorrow. So look for him hopefully next week. And we'll go from there.
Yep. Alrighty, everybody. So that is it for the show. I want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the turkey. Enjoy the mashed potatoes. Enjoy the family. And good luck in week 12.
Yes.
We will,
happy turkey. Thank you to our listeners and subscribers.
Absolutely.
Keep it coming. We love the feedback. We love all the questions during the show. So thank you guys for that. We wouldn't be here without you guys helping us, giving us a reason to do it. So we're here for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As AJ and Mike know, man, it's been a rough week for me, man. I was not in a great mood, but just being here, talking to these guys, talking to you guys on here has really kind of brightened my mood. I think even these guys can obviously tell, like, I've been able to just, power through it. And I love talking to you guys. So I want you guys to join our memberships. Talk to us on Discord, man. I love talking to you all, man. I don't talk to AJ anymore. I talk to him enough.
And it's usually he just yells at me.
I mean, you give me a lot of reason to.
True.
True.
So the last little Thanksgiving tidbit I will leave you is you thanking me for finding the beer. It is Burton Batten.
Ah, yes.
An oak-aged marriage of an Imperial IPA and an English strong ale.
It's not even really an IPA. It tastes nothing like a normal IPA, but it is good. It's a hybrid. Barrel aged. It is phenomenal, and so that's what made me try that stout that I did at the local place by me, Brew Belly, and I was like, wow, that tastes pretty good, and so I went with it. But I
tasted
phenomenal.
I also got a stout at my local brewery here, Bog Turtle Brewery. Shout out, and yeah, it was good. It was really good. I'm not big on stouts, but that one I was like, I probably could drink this.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for the show. See you all next week, and have a good Thanksgiving. See you.